in this business, one of the challenges is standing out and creating value for customers. And one way to do that, so many people market themselves as experts in probate, but really, what does that mean? What's the professional standard that you're bringing, and what do you, what value you're creating for customers, more than just a marketing hype or marketing name? And I was really excited the other day. I saw this attorney who was kind of taking to task our industry for maybe not holding the high standards that we should as professionals. And I don't disagree with her at all. I often get told that realtors aren't professional. I say, isn't that good news? That's my competition. But as a woman who sets a very high standard in the probate legal space, as well as real estate brokers, I had a chance to interview her earlier one-on-one. I thought I would share with you. But I think it's really one of the most clear-thinking attorneys in the probate space, and particularly how to work with real estate agents. Jen Sawday, who's a partner at TLD Law. Jen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to hear. It's my first podcast, so just run with it and let's see how it goes.
Well, I know you're busy. It's not your first podcast because you're not doing business. It's the opposite. So I'm really excited to have you. And again, I really literally met you commenting, I think it was on LinkedIn, on somebody else's post about professional standards. So let's just talk a little bit before we get into that. How did you get into, of all the areas of law, in particular, probate and estate planning?
Well, I'm a little bit older now, but when I was 21, my mother died, and she died from cancer, and she was 46. And then a couple years later, my father had a heart attack, and he passed away, and he was 54 when he died. And I was in law school when my dad died, and I didn't know enough then to say, Dad, you should set up a trust. So when he passed away, I grew up in Lakewood. His home was just in his name. He knew enough to do an affidavit of death of joint tenant, and he drove to Norwalk Recorder's office after my mom died. And he did that and took his wife off title. And so when my father died unexpectedly, I had to go through probate. And I was a third-year law student at the time, and I knew enough not to do it myself. So I hired a probate attorney who was a referral from my dad's CPA. I went to my father's accountant. I said, my father died. What do I do? And he told me about opening probate. And then I got referred to his favorite probate attorney, drove to Wilmington where he practiced, sat in his office. This was in 2001, before we really had computers and email. We had AOL, but most people didn't practice that way. And I sat there every couple of weeks and I watched him handle my father's probate. And then I inherited the home with my brother. My brother and I don't have the best relationship right now because of the probate. My dad didn't leave a will or a trust. And I had to pay a lot of money for attorney fees. I knew I was going to become an attorney. And so my experience in going through that probate stuck with me. So as the daughter that's been there, I gravitated towards this area of law to avoid having people to go through what I went through. So I learned how to do estate planning on my own. I met Mark Doyle in my firm in 2006. We were giving a presentation on AB Trust and how that works. He invited me to bring my practice to the firm because I had my own practice for a couple of years. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. So really you scratched your own itch in the sense that this is the area that needs professional assistance in both in the planning stages, avoiding probate, and then I see also the probate. So let's first talk about the avoiding probate or estate planning. I'm a real estate broker. I've been in the business 36 years. Until a few years ago, until I got into this space, I didn't realize how critical it is, and I'm not giving a legal judgment, but a business judgment, that anybody that owns property in California should have some sort of an estate plan, most commonly a trust. And from where I sit, I used to go to court every day before COVID, and I'd watch so many arguments, like you talk about families being torn apart. I would almost make a judgment, again, not legal, but business, that even a bad trust is better than no trust.
Yes. You don't want to make the situation worse. And so when I tell people, yes, just set up a trust, it's not going to be perfect. It's not necessarily a bad trust, but you're not making it worse.
And I describe, I don't know how to be interested in your feeling. My feeling is there's a plan for you after you pass. Either you have it or the state will give you one. And the state looks like the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's just not that customer service oriented. Yeah. Now, I don't mean to knock the judges or staff, but probate is a tough process. Like, you don't want to be in probate court, do you? You do because it's your business, you're getting paid, but as a consumer, we don't want to be there, do we?
Yeah, no, you don't want to be in court. It's hard because as a professional, if I have a dead body and title, we have to go through probate. I'm really good at it. I want the business. I have no tools in my toolbox to avoid it. But if you're in front of me and you're living, I'm going to pitch a trust as much as I can. And you just have to get it done. And people have a hard time with it. They do, but it's just one of those things where you check the box and put it away. We're busy with probate. I mean, in the pandemic, I had one probate paralegal that serviced all the probates for the firm. That was before the pandemic. And as soon as the pandemic hit, the probate cases exploded. Now I have 5 girls that just handle probate. Each one had the caseload of about 50. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. Okay, so first off, just a quick housekeeping here. This is meant to be participative. If you have questions, you're on the live Zoom call, raise your hand, put in the chat box. I'd love to have you participate and ask questions. We're talking to a pro here. We're going to go into details and you'll see so that'll become even more clear as we go on if it isn't already to you. Number one. Number two, we can network. Well, let me back up. If you're watching this on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, we monitor those chat boxes as well during the call. If you put comments in there, I'll try to answer those or ask them of Jen. And if they're after the fact, I'll either get to them or get them to Jen, and we'll get them answered as well. So we want to be participative. Number two, we want this to be networking. We want to do business. So feel free to put in your name, your contact info, what business you're looking for, what value you bring to the marketplace. If you're here on the Zoom in particular, and even on the live streams, feel free to put your information there. We'd love to do business with you. Love to say hi. Love to have you participate. So Jen, the estate planning, in fact, I noticed on your website, tldlaw.com, you have like a little, on the box, on the far right, a little box, estate planning questionnaire. Like it's so easy. You're really kind of walking them through, it could be anybody's estate planning business, it happens to be yours, right? So what is it, how hard can it be? Fill out the form, make an appointment, you get a chance to meet with a great attorney that will help you avoid problems. Why do you think it's so hard to get people to take those steps?
They don't set up a trust if they think they're going to die tomorrow. And some of them think they can't afford it. I've only had one client pass away before they signed the trust. And that turned into a really big litigation case where the firm made a lot of money. She just simply didn't come in to sign it. She kept putting it off. I think most people are afraid to meet with attorneys. They think we're expensive. They don't understand the value that we bring to the table. I'm going to throw out some pricing ideas right now. It's about $2,000 to set up a trust, give or take. You can go up or down either. A trust doesn't need to cost $10,000. It doesn't need to be $7,500. It can be $3,500. It could be $2,000. It could be $1,500. It depends on where you live, what state you're in, what your demographics are, and what you bring to the table. The more you cooperate with the attorney, you fill out the form. If you're nice to my staff, if you're nice to my receptionist, you're nice in your email, and you fill out the form, you tell me the names of your kids and what you own and everything, and you're pleasant, you'll get a better price than someone who is not pleasant. It's so interesting. You can drive how you price your estate planning. I think people are just afraid that they do it and it says, check, I can die tomorrow.
That's deep. I never thought of that one.
Yeah.
I always thought the money, and I see the payoff is about 10 to 1, meaning $2,000 planning estate plan saves at least $20,000 in filing fees, publication fees, attorney's fees, parking in downtown Los Angeles, your time, all that nightmare is easily worth it in the planning. But what you're saying is even deeper psychologically. The reason people do that is they're afraid at that point, then they're free to pass. Wow, I never talked about it. So when you're talking to somebody, maybe a family member, not as a client, but as somebody you care about, what do you tell them to get them to get over it and plan ahead? Not to plan to die, not to plan so they can, but to plan so that if God forbid something happens, they're prepared for it.
Yeah, I'm closing a probate tomorrow, and the attorneys get paid at the end. So I'm expecting a check for $29,000, right? Do you want to pay me $29,000 and make your beneficiaries wait 2 to 3 years to get their money? Or do you want to set it up? It just blows my mind.
And that's just your fees. That doesn't count expenses, probably. Doesn't count court costs and the publication fee and Federal Express fees and notary fees and maybe another attorney if there's an objector and who knows what all that is. Versus, and what would have an estate plan cost to avoid that? $2,000,
Well,
$3,000 maybe.
this was a single lady that died. And so her trust would have been, had she come back to me way back then, she would have paid maybe $1,200. She
1,200
had
versus
a
20.
home on the water in Long Beach. It was just her and her dog. She was found dead in her home. My firm's getting the fee of $29,000. And then the person that is doing the work as the executor gets the same fee, $29,000. So off the top, before the beneficiaries get the money, we're already out $60,000 out of pocket. It's crazy. See, there's no tools in my toolbox when somebody passes away. At this point, I became a salesman. I'm a candy man, right? Oh, I want this probate. Give it to me. I do a good job at it. I'm very nice to the clients. We're quick. We're methodical. They love my style. I'm not stuffy. But God damn it, if you're here, you've got to avoid it.
Well, if you're here also, I think, and this is what I want to tell everybody on the call, if you're a real estate agent, not only do you want to avoid it personally, I'm on a mission to get all of us to talk to all of our customers to get them into an estate plan ahead of time. I think it's a way to help your customers. I think it's a way for you to feel good about the business you do. I'd much rather promote, get an estate plan to avoid probate rather than, putting cookies in a house and how great open houses are. And I think also as a business, way to create relations with attorneys, because when you talk to customers about estate plans, they meet an attorney, you meet the attorney, you guys do some business together. To me, it's just a natural relationship. So here's the thing that I find realtors trip up on is they assume they meet you at a network event, they meet you at a court, they meet you at a whatever social event, church, whatever you are, Ralph's walking around. If I'm your attorney and they assume you're gonna give me referrals. I imagine though, there are people who refer you estate planning cases who are realtors regularly, that as a result, when you have a chance, that's who you're gonna refer your business to, right? That's part of it?
Yeah, what really bothers me is I get a lot of solicitations from real estate agents, and they say to me, I want to learn more about trust. Most of my real estate agents own a home. So I say, do you want to learn about trust? Do you have one? And they go, no, but I still want to learn. I go, lady, until you set one up, you're not going to be able to pitch them.
Right.
You need to have the book. You need to
Right.
show the clients. You need to practice what you preach.
Right.
So I think if there's real estate agents out there that own property, they should have the trust. And then they can prospect better because they have the trust.
That's a great piece
So
of
I'm
advice.
blown away by that. I know there's a lot of young agents out there that don't own property yet. That's fine. You probably don't need a trust, but at least you should have the experience with an attorney so you can show other people what it's like. See, I know what probate's like because I've been through it.
Right.
So I can vouch to people to say, you know what, I've been there.
Right.
So if you're marketing to me, then you should set up a trust. You don't have to hire me. I mean, I've had real estate agents that say to me, I've got a great trust. I love my attorney, but I need to get more business in Long Beach. I'm happy. You're practicing what you preach.
Right. When I used to be in the mortgage business and I would get business from accountants. And before we did electronic filing, I would go to multiple accountants to get my taxes done by them, because how could I ask them for referrals if I'm not using them as a client? Well, I didn't want business from one account, I wanted business from a bunch of them. So I had to have my taxes done 3 or 4 or 5 times. And then it was awkward the next year doing my taxes. But that's with a trust, you can't do that. You only have one house. You can't keep, moving your title from one trust to the next each year. And with 5 different attorneys, that would be very awkward. But everybody should have one, 100%. And your fees are low enough where I've promoted a online service, partially because the initial attorneys I met charged a lot more, partially because they referred me business, but frankly, your price is in alignment even with the online service. I mean, I don't mean to say cheap, but I think because you're efficient enough, you can offer it at a price point, particularly if the customer, all they've done is put online and you do the same thing, then you can charge the same fees. If the customer does the work, you're willing to help them in some sense.
Yeah, the online stuff's difficult to do. I mean, it really is. I find that when you order a trust on a LegalZoom, they send it to you in a nice binder and it has a little zipper and so what happens is people get the trust, they don't unzip it. And so when they don't unzip it, and then someone said, "Oh, my dad died," and the lady sat here and she had purple hair and purple nails and purple contacts, and she was a lovely lady, but today was purple day, and she unzipped it in front of me, and we opened it. He didn't sign it. It wasn't signed. He didn't know. Because when they send you this, you have to unzip it, and there's instructions. You have to see a notary, you have to sign it, you have to record the deed. And we see so many mistakes. And legal doom charges per document. So by the time you add up the trust, the will, power of attorney, healthcare directive, the deed, and the schedule, it's about the same price that I'm charging. Isn't that crazy? Now,
Well,
I make a lot of money in probate and litigation. That allows me to service the clients at a better price for estate planning. If you talk to a solo attorney, they may not be that busy, and you may be the cash of the year, and they may want to charge you $7,500. Go somewhere else. Find a busy attorney to help you.
I like that. Yeah, I think the other thing for us as realtors is the opportunity is if you refer somebody and you work with an attorney, and then you know the customer got the trust done, you can offer the customer, hey, once you deed the property, the trust, I'll get you a copy of the recorded deed. Well, as real estate agents, we have easy access to deeds, our title rep or you have software that you look those things up. And what a nice service I find. Pull a copy of the deed, send it to the customer, send it to the attorney as well, a courtesy copy. Now you've made sure that they unzipped the book and they executed it and did the things that need to be done. And you're part of that process. So it's an opportunity to help the customer at a deeper level. So we've talked a bit about estate planning, or what I call the avoiding probate piece. The fun part for me, unfortunately, the juicy part, and can be difficult for people, is if they don't see you ahead of time, then they have to go to probate and pay $20,000 to you and $20,000 to the executor is probate. So let's talk about, I'm sure you see through litigation, you see people who, the same thing I do, 90% of the attorneys are doing their first or only probate that year or the last 2 years on that case. I mean, when I pull a spreadsheet and track it, and 90% of attorneys have done 2 or less in the last 2 years. So you must see the same thing. You don't see it in terms of their track record like I do. You see it in their filings or mistakes, yes?
It's hard. I mean, if you're interested in being a probate attorney, you need to reach out to someone who has experience. I have 2 ladies now that are not part of my firm that email me almost daily with probate questions. Jen, I'm doing this. Jen, I'm doing this. Jen, when do you think? Do I need to post bond? How does this work? I'm a little bit more secure in my practice. I'm going to get big cases from them because they don't litigate and I litigate. So I just email them back and we go to lunch, and I'm here to help. There's enough business for everyone. So if there's an attorney out there that wants to do a probate business but is afraid, they should find a mentor. I learned how to do probate partly from watching my father's attorney, but also from being a member of the Long Beach Bar. I had a young man come take me to court, tell me how to read the docket, how to make an appearance, how to write on my business card, and he walked me through my first hearing. When I had my first probate trial on my own, I hired another attorney to be co-counsel with me. The attorneys are here to help each other. So if there's somebody out there that isn't doing it that well, sometimes just calling me, I can step in to help, give a little bit of quick advice, or go from there. If the clients are severely frustrated, they can change attorneys. The fee to them is the same. Just changing attorneys doesn't increase the probate fee. So if someone's in the middle of probate and they don't like the work the first attorney's doing, they can change attorneys. I file a substitution of attorney and I fee split that fee. So for that $29,000 that's coming in tomorrow, if I got fired in the middle of the probate, we would split that fee. Maybe I would get $10,000, the other attorney would get the 20. It's fine. I did have a case that I took over about a week ago where the client was so frustrated that the attorney did not know how to get letters from the court, that she sent her own client to San Bernardino to wait in line to get letters issued. And I about had a cow when I heard it, and all these F words came out of my mouth. I go, that's nuts. Just fire that attorney, let me get in, I'll post bond, and you'll go. When you hire me to be your probate attorney, you never go to court. I don't want you to go to court. I don't want you coming with me. I don't want you to show up. I need full client control. I have a great reputation with all the county courts. If Miss Sawday's in the courtroom, my clients are not there unless it's trial. Because I don't need any loose cannons. I want the other side to go crazy and not let it be me. And I tell my clients this, you stay home and you wait for me. If you're not nervous, then sit in my office and I'll tell you after. But let me control the situation. And because of that, we have good success in our probate.
You said so much, so I need to unpack that. So first off, I get this. I'm sure any real estate agent who talks to probate customers, and we tend to call them when they've filed. And my experience is about 9% of customers at some time are unhappy with their attorney. Fairly much because that attorney doesn't really know what they're doing. I mean, I think it's a fair statement 9% of the time. The top few practitioners are great. So changing attorneys, there's no extra cost. They're going to pay the same statutory limit at most.
Yeah,
Either
so
way,
we get paid a commission, just like the agents get paid a commission. The commission's a different formula, but the commission gets fee share. So
and you worked it out with the attorneys. You did mean the customers had to negotiate that.
Work it out, and it's usually fair. If somebody just opened probate and then that first attorney couldn't figure it out, I might give him 10 to 20%. But I play the game. I offer him something lower, make him feel like the big guy, and he comes back and says, "No, I want to go to more." I say, "Fine." I already know what I'm giving. And sometimes if I take it at the end, then we can just do it half, or maybe I take 10%. It depends.
Got it.
But we can also take over cases when clients are in pro-per. I don't have to take full fee. If you've gotten so far and you're having a hard time doing the final petition, maybe you just pay me $5,000 and I finish it for you.
So a customer who has a problem shouldn't hesitate to reach out and see what that could look like. And I get that all the time because they're scared. I don't want to pay double. No, you're not going to pay double. It's set.
I don't want to take them. Sometimes somebody came to me the other day, it was about a month ago. They said, my sister's probate attorney is taking a long time. I'm like, yeah, it takes a long time. Probates hurry up and wait. You just hurry up and wait. She hasn't done anything wrong. She knows what she's doing. So how about you just go home and sit down and wait? I'm not out there to take the cases. I will solve problems, but there's got to be a real problem for me to take. I'm just too busy to care. I mean, it's not about getting all the money and getting everyone to me. It's about what's doing right by the world. I'm the girl that goes to Target. When I put my shopping cart away, it goes in the corral. Right?
I'm with you on that one.
Right?
I'm with you. That's how my parents raised me
for that. Straight shooter. Yeah. Yesterday, somebody said to me, "I was so nervous to see you, but Jenny, you're not stuffy."
Nice.
I might be fluffy, but I'm not stuffy.
Let me go back a little bit to some questions I missed in the chat box. Somebody said, back on the trust topic, people often think they don't have enough assets to set up a trust. They only see it as something that rich people should do.
Oh, well, it's hard. When you set up a trust, you get 4 documents. You get a trust, will, power of attorney, healthcare directive. Power of attorney, healthcare directive. Alive but not well, who's going to make medical and financial decisions? You're in the hospital, you're in Vegas, a bad nurse on a bad day, it's not going to let the right person in. Even if you're married or you're a same-sex couple, or the wife can change your last name, or your husband died, your kids need documents. Everybody needs documents. So you may not need a trust if you don't own a home or have minor children. I understand. I won't charge you not to set up a trust. You get half the fee. Maybe you pay $500 or $700 or $900 to do the basic documents, or do them yourself. They will work. I'm fine. But if you own a home, or if you have minor children, you don't want your 4-year-old inheriting a boatload of money and having to go to court to become her guardian.
That's right? A whole nother discussion.
Say to me, why do I need to set up a trust when I don't own a home? Well, you might work at a place where you have $100,000 life insurance policy and your wife is free from your work. You may have named your daughter to be a beneficiary. She may be 4. You should update that to make the beneficiary your trust, so that if you do pass away, the trustee can take the money and take care of your kids for you. But see, when you come see me, my job is to make as much money as possible for me. That's not what the state bar wants me to do. The state bar wants me to give you the best advice. And so I had a guy that came in and I did his trust for his wife, and they had gotten divorced. And he came to me and said, "My wife sent me, and we're no longer married, but I don't own a home. I don't need a trust, do I?" And I said, "No." So I didn't charge him a trust price. He didn't need it. We just did a will, power of attorney, healthcare directive. He could have done it himself on LegalZoom, but see, I don't do anything myself, right? I don't comb my hair myself. I don't change my eyelashes. I don't do Botox. I don't do anything myself. I go everywhere and have all my people do it for me. Same thing with my taxes, getting my car oil changed, putting tires in my car, right? I hire help. Hire me to help you.
I'm blown away. You color your hair? Just kidding.
I
I'm just
don't
kidding.
color it, I have somebody who colors it, I don't put a box on, but it's
You know,
interesting.
during COVID, I had to cut my own hair, but now I pay somebody else to cut my hair. I wouldn't do it myself.
But
So,
do you cut your own hair?
well, during COVID, when there was no, barbershops
Yeah,
open, and my hair was just getting too long, it was uncomfortable. I had to do something.
yeah.
I mean, I literally had to do something, and just get my wife off my back. And I ordered an online thing, and I did it. I would never do it again. I did, I think, twice until the barbershops opened up. But yeah, no, I think you have to appreciate it. If you want something done well, you want to hire a pro. And there's a whole world of difference between the top 1% in a profession and the rest. And that's why I do this series. I try to find the top probate attorneys, top estate planning attorneys in different markets, because it's different. Now, I know you're located in Long Beach, and my assistant Jess, moved from Philadelphia, which, if there's a hell on earth, it's in Philadelphia, because they go from an unbelievably humid hot to unbelievably cold. She moved, of all places, to Long Beach, California, which I tell her is the hidden gem of Southern California. People live in LA, they really go to Long Beach. When you go to Long Beach, you have everything there. Tell me about you business there. Is that because you live there, you raised there? Why, of all places, Long Beach?
Oh, yeah, I was born here, so I didn't get
There you
very
go.
far.
There you go.
The firm was founded in Downey. We were founded in 1961 in Downey.
Well,
We had a partner that lived in Long Beach, so he created the Long Beach office. And then we have a partner that lives in Irvine, and they created the Irvine office. The partner that set up the Downey office actually retired, so we closed down the Downey office. Now we have two, one for Long Beach and one for Irvine. It's a great place to be. I live a mile from the beach. I'm there every Sunday on roller skates. It's back in style. My husband follows me on his bike, and we go about 6 miles. I'm a big proponent of making every day a vacation. I've got a gorgeous home. It's at Lake House State, Long Beach. It's not in Park Estates, if you're familiar with the area, but it's in Los Altos. And my kids love it. Everybody loves it. It's great. It takes me a minute to get to work. I'm a mile down the street. So my biggest thing is, where am I going to get coffee in the morning? I go. Long Beach is a very cheap city.
it really
Even
is.
my wealthiest clients don't want to pay much. But
Yeah.
I've got a lot of volume. I've got a lot of respect. People like my style. The pricing makes sense. I mean, it really does.
Since COVID, how often do you have to go to court in person?
We haven't been to court in person since March 16th, 2020.
At
We
all?
haven't been one at all. Everything's Zoom. So in Orange County, they use like a team. LA County, they use like a Court Connect website.
Mhm.
The San Bernardino, Riverside, San Diego is all remote. I don't think we're ever going back in person on a full-time basis. We do go in person now. What is the contested conservatorship, where we have an older adult that does not have estate planning documents, and the judge would like to see that person in person to make an assessment on whether or not a conservatorship is needed. We're also back in court for trials, for civil. I don't see probate going back in person.
When you say that, you mean the probate, the normal administration. Do you see probate litigation being in person, or is that? I know that's partially done Zoom, partially in person. Like you have a choice how to do it. And I've listened to judges. Some prefer in person, some prefer it to be on Zoom. What do you see happening?
It really depends. I mean, most trials are in person now. Some trials are jury trials, so we're doing that in person. Most probates don't have any litigation component, so it's almost all pre-approved with no appearances. The hearing just comes and goes.
Right.
We call in, we get it pre-approved. It's called being on the RFA list, recommended for approval. But if we have an RFA and we don't anticipate objections, we don't go. The court doesn't want us there. But let's talk about mediation. We do mediate a lot. It's not a given that you're going to be given a probate trial. If you're fighting over something, the judges do not want to hear you.
They
We
do
had a fight
not.
the other day. I can't remember what we were fighting over. You know what it was? It was the ice maker. We were fighting over an ice maker. You know those little things that you buy from the Igloo? That's $250, and it has these little pellet things of ice, and you put it in the backyard. A daughter died from COVID, and her mother's still living, so she wants the ice maker. And the daughter had a boyfriend, and he claims that the ice maker's his. And we're fighting over an ice maker. We're a judge. doesn't give a shit about an ice maker.
What was spent, do you think, on both sides over the ice maker?
It just blows my mind. I mean, it's crazy. And we're also fighting over the remains and cleaning. They can be split. It was just an interesting case. It's just probate. She was a young lady that passed from COVID. And she passed from COVID recently. It wasn't something that she died right when the pandemic first happened.
Wow.
And she had a bad response. So it's still happening. Had she had a trust, she owned a home, had a boat, and a few other things, her mom and her boyfriend would not be fighting.
That's the thing, is that it's not even one or the other. It's that they end up fighting, and after the person passes, the season passes, it just destroys relationships that they don't have this kind of pre-settled. It's just I went through that with my family, my mother and her siblings, over these things called lusters. I don't know what they were, but they're kind of like a little decorative piece with like crystal glass hanging down. I remember for years, my mother would not allow my grandfather to come to our house because of these lusters. And then he moved to California, and he was making peace with my mom, and he was going to bring these lusters to our house. And I remember after hearing about him for years, he showed up, and there's these stupid little decorations that you would never pay attention to, but that represented my mother's mother to my mother. And so it was everything to her, and the emotions of it. And had there been in those days, a trust that identified where the personal belongings went, there'd be no argument. In her mind, it should have been hers. In his mind, they were his, or whatever. The whole thing's just crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
We got a good question from Raquel Lawrence, which is, I have a life insurance policy with adult children listed as beneficiaries. So if you only have adult children, you don't own a home, you have life insurance with a designated beneficiary, do you still need a trust?
Maybe not. I mean, she needs the power of attorney and a healthcare director if she winds up in the hospital. If she set up a trust and named the beneficiary, the life insurance policy, to be the trust, then the trust would have a pile of money to bury her, pay for medical debt, file taxes. So if you have a life insurance policy and she leaves behind a little bit of a mess, and her children are her beneficiaries, they put it in their pocket, they go home. You've not authorized anyone to be in charge to file a final tax return for you. So sometimes we do talk about things, maybe it's not a bad idea to have a trust. It really depends. If it's a small policy, maybe $12,000, I would say don't worry about it. But if you've got a $500,000 policy, let's put a trust in. What happens if your children die before you, or you have grandchildren that will inherit? You leave behind a business, or you leave behind something, and someone needs to wind it up for you. The IRS wants to see the trust. They want to know who your personal rep is. And your personal representative is either your successor trustee or somebody who's named in your will. If those documents don't exist and somebody doesn't have authority to say, you know what, it's me, mom picked me.
So again, a reminder, thank you. A reminder that this participant, if you have questions, feel free. We've got some in the chat box here on the Zoom call, or raise your hand. Glad to call on you. If you're watching this on YouTube, we have a big phone on YouTube today, or Facebook, feel free to put the questions there, or LinkedIn. Yeah. Put the questions there, and I'm watching those, and we'll ask those questions as well. Let's talk a little bit about the business side. A good portion of the audience here are real estate agents who are looking to build their real estate business and see an attorney like you either as a resource to help their clients or as a source of referral business. Let's talk about how can a real estate agent, not you personally, but should they go about earning the business of a probate and or trust attorney? How should they go about building that relationship so they can build a mutually beneficial relationship and generate some business for each other?
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I get a lot of emails every day from real estate agents saying the dumbest things to me, and it really rubs me the wrong way. I did get an email last week from a nice young lady who asked if I could present at a seminar.
Nice.
And so I looked her up and realized that she was in Huntington Beach, which isn't far from me. And so I emailed her back, sure, we can present for you, because she already had the seminar set up. I said, well, tell me what time, where, what you were thinking, and I can staff it or send one of my junior attorneys. And then she wrote back, well, let's have coffee to talk about it. So I said, you didn't answer any of my questions. Second of all, now you're just grabbing me to have coffee. And third, I don't have time for this. And then I realized that it was just she didn't have a seminar set up. I mean, she just picked me up. I mean, don't do that to me. You're wasting my time. If you have a seminar set up, and you've got clients coming or prospects coming or your own clients, and you need an attorney there, then be honest. She was just looking to get in front of me. So I blew her off. I didn't like that. But you can get to know me in a natural way. You can join the Estate Planning and Trust Council. You could join the Professional Fiduciary Association. You can join the Long Beach Bar. You could join Rotary. You could join marketing groups that I'm already at. Come to these groups, spend time. Show up, sit next to me. You could work out with me at the gym. You could be my neighbor. You can prospect with me like a normal person and get to know me, just like I know my other people. And then ask for business. But the problem is I'm not going to give you a probate listing until you've worked with me first. Mm-hmm. See, when I give away a listing, I think I'm giving away $10, $20, or $30,000. And if I've never worked with you, why would I do that? And you've yet to give me a client. Most real estate agents that give me a client to set up a trust, maybe I make $1,500 off that. Where's the fairness is you've never given me anything, and yet you want me to give you a probate listing. How about you let me set up a trust first? And I have guys out in LA that email me all the time because they look at those probate listings and they say, Jen, congratulations for getting this probate. I want the listing. I'm like, dude, I've never worked with you. I've never met you. I don't even know you. And yet you email me every week and you think that you earn a listing from me. How about you come to Long Beach, sit in front of me, or do some of my marketing, or be in my circle somehow? It just blows me away. I've got enough real estate agents that I know.
So tell me about your marketing. You say something, I'm not issuing invitation to 200 real estate agents to show up at your office in Long Beach to market, but describe for us what does your firm do that generates business that maybe, like for example, there was a firm years ago that would do regular in-person seminars at local hotels on estate planning. And at the time, I went to one and I walked up to the trainer and said, look, I'm not here as a client, I have an estate plan, but I'd like to see if I can help you drive more traffic or convert more business while you're here. Let me just check out what you do and I'll make some suggestions. And if you're interested, great. And I did. I said to them some things I could do before this time, certain phone calls, confirming phone calls. I can offer to pull their deeds so they have them when they walk in the door. We can call afterwards, ask for feedback, try to set appointments that they didn't, whatever it was. But really be part of the marketing team, right? What kinds of marketing does your firm do? You're a huge firm. What kind of thing, if anything, and I know you have a great reputation and a lot of business walks through the door every month, but what kinds of things do you do for marketing to develop more business?
What do I do for marketing for my own clients?
Well, not you personally, just saying your firm. What kind of marketing goes on to generate business in a law firm like yours?
It's interesting. The firm has a couple of rainmakers, which I'm one of them, and the rainmakers do what we think is best. We advertise in newspapers, we advertise in our church bulletins, we go to certain events and we talk to people and we bring it in. The firm collectively doesn't do any overall marketing. Each partner does their own thing. And it all kind of comes together. When a partner enjoys a aspect of it, the other partners back off, and with that partner develop that book of business in that group. So we have some partners that do really well in ProAdvisors. I'm not a member of ProAdvisors. I did enjoy it, so I backed off. We have some partners that enjoy the Estate Planning and Trust Council. I'm one of them. So my other partners don't participate. They let me take that space. So we're very good about, oh, what are you doing for marketing? And so we just kind of branch out and we're not crawling over each other. And we also help the junior attorneys do whatever is best for them. Everybody's got their niche. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. The litigation attorneys have a harder time. They're typically litigating and they don't talk in the right way. They're not soft, they're not nice, they're mean, they're jerks, they're assholes. And you want your litigation attorneys to be mean, which is fine. But that's interesting about marketing. It really is. These solicitations that just come randomly is strange. I will meet you in person if you come to the office. I don't want to go to coffee. I don't have time for coffee. I had somebody email me the other day that was a real estate agent and she asked me to go for drinks. And I was like, that's crazy. I don't drink. I've got kids at home that are waiting for dinner. How dare you assume that I want to go out and have a martini with you? I mean, she just got the room wrong.
Yeah.
Instead, she should say, I'm trying to run probate. I need some help. Can you help me? Or I have a probate case now. I don't understand what full authority means. Can you help me? Get to know me in a very genuine way. Right. Don't rub me the wrong way. Asking me for coffee. I've got to drop off my kids in the morning. I can't do stuff at 7 a.m. Don't ask me to do things at 7 p.m. if I've got to put a kid to bed. It's just interesting out there.
It's very interesting. I get some of the same requests. You mentioned a group that I've been to. Now, I used to run an office in Signal Hill, and then when I was first building my probate business, I went regularly. I don't go as much because it's a long drive for me. But the State Planning Council in Long Beach, which is in Long Beach, is a phenomenal meeting. I think it's monthly.
Yeah.
And I went there. I learned so much. They had amazing attorneys. Not quite as good as you, but other great attorneys that would talk about one topic in such depth. I felt like I took a class for about a half hour, and they're so sharing of what they were doing. That's the thing that surprised me. That particular meeting, I think, is one of the best ways to go for a real estate agent to learn the business. And then while you're there, you might meet a couple of attorneys and find one that meets you socially and figure out how to do business with them from that angle.
Yeah. Yeah, I have about 10 agents that I like that I'll refer business to. I added a new one over Christmas time, actually, because he was such a nice young man. He was genuine in his email. He liked my posts on LinkedIn. He sent me a nice card. He even said to me, Jen, I would really like to meet you. You seem amazing. And he lives in Studio City. He drove down here, took my time slot that I offered, sat in here, and he talked the right words. I know what an order is. I know what letters. He had done his homework.
Nice.
And he had done a few probate sales. He knows what he's doing.
Nice.
He got a referral from me for a very nice listing up in LA. But I tend to figure out where you're located, where you do business, and if I have an opening in that city, I will give it to that agent that I know.
Nice.
I think it's important for the client from selling property that the agent has neighborhood experience.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe you can all say I can sell property anywhere, but I think that the agents that are well known in the right farms are the ones who should get that list, and you're going to get the best price.
Nice.
You already know the buyers out there.
Nice. Okay. I can't disagree. So the State Planning Council is a place where you go. Do you present at legal? Like, do you go to a bar association, or do you present at any conferences or anything like that?
Okay, so I go to the Estate Planning and Trust Council in Long Beach. The meetings are back in person now. So when they don't conflict with something on my schedule, I make a point to go.
Nice.
Very nice. It's valuable to me because I get an hour of MCLE or continuing learning credits, which I need.
Right.
I also do events for women lawyers of Long Beach. Sometimes I do events for the Long Beach Bar Association. And then I belong to a marketing group, which is similar to BNI, but it's called the Executives Association of Long Beach. Whereas one person from each category. That's pretty much all that I've ever done. I will try other groups. I tried Provisors and I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
But I do enjoy the ones that are more Long Beach focused. Then I just go and participate. Right. Now I have enough business where it's almost all referral based. I'm also responsive to my emails. Clients like me and I get a lot of referrals from the existing clients. So I built a nice book of business that way. But if you're new and you're an attorney, I want to help you. If you're new being a real estate agent, you have a probate sale and you're worried about the sale, email me. I will walk you through it. I have no problem with that because I'm doing something for the greater good. But I am just not going to give you a listing if I don't know you.
Yeah, amazing. Why you would think that you would? I remember when I was, when I was in the mortgage business, we were trained also to kind of shake down realtors for referrals. And then when I became a real estate agent, I worked in an office. I would see these mortgage people come in asking for business. And I said, do you understand how we kill for these deals? Why don't I just give it to you? You should pop in my office and want to hand out some cookies. It makes no sense at all. So it's really about earning that and building that. Do you have any particular resource that I guess the estate plan would be the one that comes to mind to me, that somebody who wants to learn the business? What would you, if somebody said, I want to learn the process of probate, obviously sitting with you is an expensive proposition. Is there a particular resource that you send them to learn more about the fundamentals of the filings and the, court confirmation requirements and things like that? Where do you send people?
When I first started practicing in this area, I wanted to learn how to talk to my clients in ways that they understood. So I read those dummy books, Estate Planning for Dummies, Probate for Dummies, and then the Nolo Press, and How to Do Probate Yourself. I read them all. Estate Planning, Probate, Trust Administration, they're still out there. You can buy them. Right. And I took them with me in the bathroom and I just kept them in there and I read them for years. I would just pick up and just read a chapter, put it down, pick up, read a chapter. And I earmarked those books. It helped me learn how to speak to clients, use the right buzzwords, they have the right conversation style, because those books were so well written to them. That's how I learned. And then I also read, let me show you, this thing right? California probate code.
My copy is
Look,
right
it's got
there.
tabs everywhere,
Mine's the
right?
blue one right there. Same thing. Mine's
Right?
yes.
So I saw someone say probate code section. I go, oh, and I'd open it up and I'd read what the little thing said. It's not hard to read. It's actually pretty well written, and that's how I roll. And then if I got over my head, I would talk to a senior attorney, sometimes outside the firm. I don't understand what this means. Walk me through it. And I do it now for the ladies that I love that don't even work here because I want everyone to get good service.
Nice. Yeah, no, I like that. The probate code. The thing I tell people, use the probate code. I go, yeah, it's written in English. You don't have to go to law school to buy the book. They sell it on Amazon. It showed up at my house.
But this one here, I haven't even updated. It's 2018. If I need the code, I go to Google and I get the 2023 version.
Right.
But here, it's still there. I know what section I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And I go online and Google. I mean, seriously.
Well, and as real estate agents, we don't need the whole thing. We just need the real estate agents need the sections that we deal with primarily. It's good to know all of it. It's good to know the whole code.
Yeah.
But at a minimum, here's the other one. I amazes me. I get like you get phone calls from attorneys. I get phone calls from realtors who need help on what to do, how to list a property, how to sell probate property. I would say, have you read the forms? In the California Association of Realtors, we have 3 documents related to probate. There's a listing addendum, there's a purchase addendum, and there's a probate advisory. There's just 3. The probate advisory is actually connected to both the other 2. So in reality, if you pull one or the other, you have all there is to know about, and both of them. I say, if you read it, it really covers like 95% of the questions around those 3 forms, and they're written in English.
Yeah, and when I'm working with agents now that I've never met that get the listing for my clients, and I say, send me the contract, and it has the name of the dead guy. Really? The dead guy's selling the property? Why? He's dead. And it just blows my mind that these people can't fucking understand that the guy's dead. He is not signing the listing agreement.
Right.
It has to be Jennifer Sawday as the administrator of the estate of dead guy. And if you can't figure that out, well, yeah. So yesterday I did that. The dead guy is not the seller. I'm sorry. The seller is the estate. Here's the letter. And I had to do very elementary. This is what the listing agreement should look like. Let me get that fixed. And then I'll talk to you about the representative's capacity addendum because we were at stage 1. But I'm not going to ruin that relationship. That agent can get the listing. They can sell the property. But the industry itself just needs to do a better job.
Yeah, way better. I agree to 100%. Well, look, if your real estate agents need help, send them to me. I'll do some training for you for free. Mark Pedroza puts the link to the Fine Law. Thank you so much. I go there all the time. But again, the probate code book, I got out of the way, right there. My copy is blue. That's 2022 version. But when I go to court for confirmations, I bring it with me because I'll have attorneys who will mistakenly argue things they don't know what they're talking about, and I'll say, well, let me just show you what it says in the probate code. I find if I pull out the book and show them, even though I know the answer, they're more persuaded than otherwise. So,
well, I mean, I get that court confirmation hard. The job of the court is to get as much money for the estate as possible. It's not to sell the home to the cute pregnant lady so that she can send her kids down the street. When someone passes away and there's no trust, there's no discretion. The person that's in charge of the probate has to get as much money as possible. So the court confirmation is to confirm that the property is not going to sell for more money. It's a nice thing when it happens. It doesn't happen that often anymore, but we still do them.
Well, I'll tell you that we do in LA County right now. I track them. That's my business. I track the court confirmation sales.
Yeah.
So right now there's a list of about 54 on calendar probate court confirmations in LA County. I track separately Orange and separately in Riverside. So we get about 50 a month out of 500 probate filings. So that includes trust litigation cases that have court confirmations. That includes guardianships, conservatorships. So we get about 50 a month. It's not that common. And even even attorneys very active in probate don't do that many court confirmations. They try to avoid it, right? They try to get full authority rather than limited. And sometimes, you get stuck with it.
But I often feel that a lot of attorneys request court confirmation because they don't understand how probate works.
Yes, you're right.
They use it as a tool to get more money from the estate.
Yes,
which is really too bad.
I think you're right. I think you're 100% right.
And I don't like
100%.
that. I don't like that at all.
And I'll give you a third category. They do it because they don't know. They do it because it runs up the fees. The third is they mistakenly think it's safer for the customer and safer for them. I don't know that it necessarily is or not. I mean, I've never seen anybody, in my experience, I didn't see anybody sued because they sold with full authority and didn't get top dollar. I see plenty of court confirmations that are very shady. We try to catch those and I try to find investors to buy them, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes to get an objection to the notice of proposed action, we have to go. That makes sense. I only requested court confirmation once when I represented a celebrity that had about 10 properties. And I was worried that the media was going to be involved in every sale. So the firm elected to do court confirmation for that estate. So that we got as much money as we could. This was back in 2008. We had properties that were underwater. And so at that point, the firm made a decision with the surviving spouse. This is how we're going to handle it. That case made sense.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Albert asks,
what advice do you have for me, though? I mean, how can I be more helpful to real estate agents? Do I need to be nicer? Should I be more real or spend more time educating?
It's funny. Just today, for example, I called an attorney because I had a client who, it's a property with two ownership interests, right? 50% was in a conservatorship, 50% was her deceased mother that she inherited solely. And the conservatorship passed. Now, I'm not a attorney, but I happen to know when the conservatorship passes, if there's no trust, that's a probate, right? You have a decedent, whether you will or not, doesn't matter. No trust is a probate. And I called the attorney and I tried to explain to him, well, now I understand a conservatorship is whatever the term is, done, finished. And my client who wants to sell her interest, you've been dragging your feet for 2 years, running up all your fees on the conservatorship. Now she doesn't need you, she wants to sell the property. He said, well, I have to file some papers with the court. And I was trying to say, no, I know there's nothing for you to file. Like, I know there's nothing for you to do. Your conservatorship has nothing to do with the ownership of the property anymore. It's done. But I think sometimes, and then you deal with this, you deal with attorneys, I'm sure, who assume you don't know what you're talking about, whether they're for whatever reasons, and they talk to you like you don't know. I find attorneys, as a general practice, are good at sounding like they know what they're talking about when they know nothing about what they're talking about. And you must deal with it. It must frustrate you like it does me. How do you deal with it? How do you deal with the challenge of communicating to people who have a hard time sometimes listening?
I think some attorneys just don't have the staff to handle the work. Conservatorships are hard. Filing a petition for substituted judgment to avoid probate is hard. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always get approved. Sometimes the attorney sees something that you don't see. That's a tough one. I follow the direction of my clients very well. So if I represent a conservator and they understand that we need to set up a trust, they need to go to court to get that set up, and I don't see an objection, I'll do it and file the work. But that petition is very time consuming. My staff doesn't like to draft it. I don't like to draft them. They're hard to get approved. So sometimes attorneys just want things to go away and disappear. But also, are you dealing with a trusted state's attorney?
Yeah, well, he's at a firm that does a lot. I mean, I have to say, I was surprised that, and I've worked with one of his partners or one of the attorneys in the firm. So I was surprised that, I said to my client, well, I know the firm and I know other attorneys in that office I've worked with. I said, let me give him a call and see what I find out. And I called him back and said, he gave me some story about he has to file something, this or that. I said, I know there's nothing from the file. I've been in cases where my client was the conservatorship and they passed. So I know what happens next. There is nothing.
Well, I mean, that's where you recommend maybe they come to another attorney and do a step-based attorney and just get out.
Yeah,
and have somebody else finish. Yeah, that's the tough one. I'm very client driven. If my client understands all the things that are out there and they want to do something that I'm not recommending or I don't see coming or they're anxious, we'll do it. And that's what the CYA letters are for, right? I write the letters saying you're telling me to do it, we'll do it. Sometimes in a conservatorship, it has to be done before the conservatee dies. So if death is imminent, I don't have time.
Right. I get it done.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, look, Jen, I could talk to you all day. I really enjoyed our last conversation on video and meeting you again this time. It's been fantastic. Obviously, you're a professional. I just want to share with anybody who's interested in working with her, either on estate planning clients to refer the firm or probate. TLD Law is the firm, and tldlaw.com is the website. And if you go to attorneys, for some reason she's at the bottom. She's the top in our heart, but she's on the website there. There's her name, contact info, how to find her on LinkedIn. And then again, I thought it was really interesting. I think if you're interested in helping customers, if you're a real estate agent, you should be encouraging customers to get estate plans of their own property and title it in the trust. And they have this questionnaire that even if they didn't use it, you should know this is the information required to be able to help a customer get a trust. I think it's a great educational resource right there.
Yeah,
so
I do want to say that, I don't talk to my clients like this. This is the real me. When clients come in, they get red carpet service. I mean, I'm here to help, listen, and figure out what to do. And we do really good here. But when you have something like this, you're trying to get inside my brain to make the industry better. We need to do better. The banks need to do better. The real estate industry need to do better. We need to do better for everybody.
Well, let me reverse it to you. How can we do better as industry as real estate agents? What should we be doing to be better?
I think you need to spend time with the attorneys in a natural environment. You need to come with me to things or show up at my events to get to know me organically. And you do this in your marketing already. Become friends with us. Yeah. And don't be pitch first. Get rid of the pitching. Let us help you. And then do it in a meeting. I do tell all of my real estate agents that if probate's not your gig, that's fine. Don't say no to a probate listing. Tell the client every transaction is different. Yes, I can help you with probate sale. I'm going to check in with my team, my title company, my escrow company, and my broker. I'll get back to you tomorrow on what we need. Then you scramble behind the scenes. You pull in an attorney that you trust. You talk to the right people, and then you go back to the client the next day and you say, I'm so glad you talked to me. This sale should be pretty easy. What I need is from your attorney is the letter, the order. I'd like to know the inventory value of the property, the EIN, and we're off to the races, and I'll help you with this probate sale. I want my agents, if you have a probate listing, to say yes. Slow down, tell the client every transaction different, gather what you need, and go back the next day and get what you need. Like when I get my house painted and the painter comes up with the process, I don't know how he does it. I only get my house painted every 20 years. It doesn't matter what the painter says to me. I trust them. The painter may say to me, go to Lowe's and buy the paint. The painter may say to me, here's my fan deck. You pick out a color and I'll buy the paint. Or the painter may say to me, meet me at Dunn Edwards Paint and we'll pick out the color together. None of those things are wrong. So if you have a potential listing in front of you and someone wants to sell the home and they like you, take it. Don't be afraid of it. We're here to help you. Don't turn it down. Everyone's here to help you. We will all work with you. But don't prospect to get a listing first. If you've got the listing, then we'll help you after. Right. But I do give away some, not that many. That's what I get. I have a guy now that I work with that I get his trust, and he's a real estate agent. He's looking good. And he's like, Jenny, I want all your probate sales. And I'm like, are you kidding? You're not getting them. You don't know how. I've got the people for this. So I said, you know what? Get some training. Read the books, do this. And then if you get a probate listing, I'll walk you through it. When you get more comfortable, maybe you'll get on my short list. It's hard to get on the list, but you can get there. Well,
Jen, send them to probateweekly.com and get them on this call. They can learn, they can see the past episodes and see your interview. It'll be tremendous value to them. So thanks so much.
I don't have a blacklist, but yeah, it's interesting.
Well, I'm glad to help any other agency come across, answer questions on the local real estate side. Jen, it's been a pleasure. Again, if you're interested in connecting with her on probate or avoiding probate through estate planning, Jen Sawday, she's a phone number, there's the email, there's a contact information. Jen, I just can't thank you enough for your time, both previously and today. Thank you so much for being on today.
No problem. All right, I think I made it.
And for the rest of you, this is Probate Weekly. I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker in Los Angeles, California, at Bill Gross EXP and social media. This Probate Weekly, we do it every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We live stream it on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can see past episodes at episodes.probateweekly.com. Text or email me if you have questions. I can help in any way. Thank you, everybody. Go Warriors. I don't know about that one, Mark Pedrosa. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks again, Jen.